Is there any other title that you thought of for Dil Chahta Hai? Was that the original title all through?
No, when I was writing the film, I had a working title which was called Hum Teen. Is what the title Hum Teen was the title. Anyone when I narrated it to them and I said I'm thinking of Hum Teen would have to immediately take some kind of an anti-allergy tablet because it just somehow didn't work for people. So then I changed it and I kept thinking and thinking, and this one felt like it felt right.
I mean, it just came from you, or did someone suggest this?
No, it did come from me. I remember when I told my dad, he was the only one who said, it's a good title, but it's incomplete. So I said, what do you mean? So he says, nobody ever says, because my theory behind it was whatever I feel, like what I feel like, like it's my wish, like that kind of thing. That was the attitude at least behind it. So he said, in English that works. He's like, but in Hindi, Dil Chahta Hai is incomplete. You said Dil Kya Chahta Hai? Like, what? You'll have to tell me what your heart desires. You can't just say my heart desires, right? So I said, yeah. So now you have to do something about it because this is the title that I like. So he said, he's like, oh, you're gonna. I'm assuming all films had a title song. So that was just the way you made films. I mean, even now I guess films have a title song. So he was like, ठीक है यार, मैं सोचता हूँ इसके बारे में, इसके गाने में इसका मतलब हम निकालेंगे. So I said, please do that. So then
sense.
he gave it the नहीं बीते चमकीले दिन ना रहे यारों के
right.
So all of that came into it in the song.
Right. I was having a conversation recently with Ravi K. Chandran, who was a cinematographer with Dil Chahta Hai. And one of the things that he told me was how completely blown he was by your level of confidence for someone who's making his first film. And of course, the movie was over, and he told me that, he actually showed the film first to Mani Ratnam down in Chennai. And then Mani Ratnam actually called you, or he spoke to you.
Yeah, he did.
And said that, what, don't change a word, don't change a scene, just let it be the way it was, because you were facing pressures on changing certain aspects of the film.
Finally, like the negative was edited, the colorist of the film, the sound design of the film, all of it was done in Chennai. All the better studios and the better post-production facilities for that were in Chennai at that point. So that's why, and also Ravi lived in Chennai, so it was easier for him to go and do his. There was no DI back then. I can't even remember what it was called. It's such a long time ago. To kind of, like the recolorist of the film, so to speak, the grade. So that's when he was also, of course, he worked closely with Mani. They were associates. So he did show him the film. And when Mani Ratnam calls you and says good things about your film, you've done something right. Everyone was constantly, whoever saw the film, had issues of the length of the movie. There were some people who felt like, the first half of the film, till the interval moment where Akshay and Amir fight, a couple of people felt that they had no idea what this film is about and where is this film going. What am I looking forward to in the film? I mean, okay, it's great. It's nice episodes in life and people are laughing and people are traveling and someone is in love and someone is falling out of love and all that's going on. But what is it about? There was a lot of that happened. So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of pressure to kind of think about, should we restructure the film in some way? Are there certain scenes that need to be removed, to maybe tighten it up and shorten the length? All this was going on. So I would speak to Ravi about it because obviously it included then Ravi having to make those changes at his end. Yeah, Mani sir did speak to me about it, and he told me that he absolutely loved it and don't do anything. It's a new form in some way, and people will understand it or they won't understand it. He's like, but you have to do what you feel is right with it. And I mean, that absolutely will give me a major boost of confidence to at least, I mean, if somebody told me again, like, you should, I'm like, dude, it's either what you like or what Mani Ratnam likes. I'll go with with what he thinks works.
You spoke about how it's not about anything in particular, But that's the beauty of the film, because there's certain things in that movie that people recount again, and this really doesn't mean anything. For instance, that dialogue, "हम केक खाने के लिए कहीं भी जा सकते हैं." I
Yeah,
mean, it really doesn't mean anything in particular, but it stuck around. It's people use that even now, 20 years later. What is this? Is there a story behind it?
there is a story about it, which is my absolute love for cake. Is a story about it. And there was a long time which I was telling you, when after I left college and before I started working, which is that time when I was watching films at home, sitting around, not doing that much.
This is the time you were Karan Shergill from Lakshya, right?
Yeah, basically the time that I was Karan Shergill, so to speak. I've always had a serious sweet tooth, right? So if we ever went somewhere and I saw, I don't know, like, at that time, of course, we didn't have as many options of eating cake or eating a pastry when you were out. But if I ever saw something in a window, I would be like, man, I wish I could afford to buy that pastry right now, because it's presented so well, kept in that window. And I was a member of this club at Hotel Sea Rock, which no longer exists. Right, there was a club there, and they used to have this little counter which had all these amazing, like, black forest and chocolate truffle and all these things. And I mean, I could never afford to buy it. And if somebody ever said, "Listen, let's go somewhere, it's my treat, and I'll get you," and it was the happiest day of my life to be able to get that piece of cake. So that, I just thought it would be like a fun line, like, to kind of just throw in there. I mean, obviously, Samir's character is someone who can afford to buy cake, but just the thought, and I think that's what struck people. When you're in college, and it's that lot who, when like, for a free meal or for a free drink, if someone takes you somewhere to
Right.
someone
It could be
fancy,
anything. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, wow, what a wonderful treat. I'm absolutely coming. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from.
What about Chapora Fort? I mean, that's called Dil Chahta Hai Fort now. Did you ever think that that's going to become so iconic? Or was it area that is gone? Was it a recce thing, or was it a place that you've hung out before, or it's just there?
No, I mean, it actually is. It's I can't say it's a recce thing, because I'd been there before when on my trips to Goa. I mean, you just go hang out with friends and stuff. But I can't say that these things. I mean, I don't know how they happen here. I remember, like, I used to always love the view from up there. Um, but never in my wildest imagination, when I was there, did I sit and have any kind of deep thought, of the kind that Akshay's character has when they are staring out of the thing. But yeah, I mean, I just love the view, and there's that confluence of that little river thing also that happens there. I mean, like, the river comes and ends there, and then you can see Morjim and Mandrim and all across to the other side. It's just a spectacular view. And that's really what I wanted for that scene. I just wanted something that would, because Dil Chahta Hai, I mean, for most of it, was a very indoors film. It plays out in apartments and in homes and in cafes, or and, like, so Goa was a nice break away from that. So it really was wanting to just bring a little bit of, like, kind of scale and a little bit of openness to the eye. And that was one of the locations that I remember feeling that way in. It felt very open, and airy and bright. And so we went there, and then, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just the way eventually we got them to sit on that thing, to, like, one completely
frame, right?
relaxed. Yeah, that frame, I think that just their backs, so it leaves a lot to your imagination. I think that's what it is. Yeah, that just stayed with people.
Right. Was Akshay Khanna the first person you approached to act in the film, Farhan? Was he the first lead actor?
Yeah, Akshay and Preeti were the first two, because I mean, they, on some level, had I had told them that I'm writing the script, and they had said, "Come to me when you're."
And you knew them because, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you were an assistant director on Himalaya Putra, which would be Akshay's first film as an actor, as a lead actor anyway.
So that was in 1994, and actually that was the first time that I ever met him. I didn't know him before that. So I met him when I was working on Himalaya Putra, and we kind of hit it off really well. And I did tell him at that point, like, I didn't say that I'm writing a script. I did tell him that my fantasy is to kind of make my own film. And so, and he said that, "Listen, I mean, you come and meet me whenever you do, because I'd love to hear it." And that was that. So I took him up on that offer. And Preeti was someone who I'd met while I was writing. I was working at Script Shop at the time. I just started writing the script of Dil Chahta Hai. It's very interesting, actually. Her and Akshay were auditioning for Kya Kehna, right? So at that point, Akshay was in the film. They were looking for someone new to cast. Preeti still hadn't had her release of Dil Se and all that stuff hadn't happened yet. But she came home for an audition, and Akshay and her did an audition in the house, and that's when I met her. And we just started talking, and she said, I told her that there's a script, and she said, listen, you please come and meet me whenever it's done. I'm sure it'll be this, that, and the other. And then, of course, her films released. She became like a massive star, but kept her word. When I went and met her and I said, I'm doing this, she was like, yeah, I love it. I'm totally on. So they were the first two. Yeah.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.